Let's all take a deep inhale in. Open mouth, sigh it out. You've come to the right place for today's Yoga for Inner Peace. My name's Taylor. I'm your guide. I recommend having 2 blocks and a bolster or a rolled blanket if you don't have a bolster. I'll see you on the mat to get started. I recommend having your bolster somewhere behind you and your blocks within hands reach, about hip or towards your feet. And we'll extend our legs long, beginning in caterpillar today. If you have a blanket or something that you'd like to sit on, this can really help to tilt your pelvis forward. Otherwise, you can play with moving out some of the cushion from under your bum. Sometimes it's nice to have the cushion. See what feels best for you today. Maybe give your legs a little bit of a shake out and let them fall heavy, open to either sides. Inhale, come to a long spine, reach crown of head towards the sky. Exhale, curl your chin in towards your chest and begin to curl your entire spine forward. Hands can walk out in front of you, and maybe you even shine your palms up towards the sky, completely surrendering forward here in caterpillar. And we're purposely not using any props today in this pose to help us access our deep tissue on the backside of our bodies, to open this space for peace, to release tension. And we do so through time and yin. It takes about 90 seconds to even access our deep tissue or fascia. And we could also say the same for our minds, if not longer. To be still, to let go, to release. Breathe deeply into your belly, filling it with each inhale like a balloon. Each exhale softly letting go of effort. On a forward fold, you may notice yourself releasing by folding forward even more. Let your body do so. You don't have to hold on. Letting your sit bones be the anchor. Let yourself continue to melt forward from that space. Five more deep belly breaths. your palms to face the ground, and slower than you'd like, begin to walk your hands back towards your hips, stacking vertebra over vertebra one at a time, head coming up last. And once you find your spine in a neutral position, shoulders over knees, allow your arms to relax as you settle in to a position that feels a little bit more normal for your spine. And take a few breaths and notice how it feels to have opened to the back side of the body, to have slowed down the breath. Can you notice already if you feel a bit more relaxed or at ease? Bring the soles of the feet to touch, moving into reclined butterfly or Supta Baddha Konasana. Legs come into a diamond shape, and I recommend using blocks underneath your thighs or knees, especially so if your legs don't touch the ground. If you have a bolster or blanket, go ahead, bring it to the back, the base of your spine, sticking straight out behind you, and allowing yourself to melt all the way back onto the bolster. Also know that if you don't want to use the bolster, you can lay flat on your back. That's perfect as well. Wherever you land, palms may face up for more of a surrendering, receiving gesture, perhaps receiving peace. Palms may face down for more grounding, to feel steady and stable. Or one palm up, one palm down if you can't decide and need a little bit of both. Take what you need today. It doesn't necessarily have to be the same as the last time you were in this pose. Allow your belly to soften and the back side of your body to grow heavy, like you're melting into the ground, into the support beneath you. And as the backside continues to get heavy, think of growing soft in the front side of your body. Almost like the front half was getting lighter. And as we fully settle in to Supta Baddha Konasana, perhaps you reflect on what peace means to you. What does it feel like when you're at peace? And see if you can feel that right now, in this moment, in this pose, this practice. Go heavy in back side of body, soft and light in front side. Deep breaths here. Returning to the deep belly breathing if you've lost those. Hands come to the outside of your thighs to help your legs together. Feet plant on the mat and roll off of your bolster to either side, removing it from underneath you. You can land in a fetal position as well. Take a few breaths here. Take your time as you push yourself up. We'll come to land in tabletop on our hands and knees, making sure that you have all your props closer to the front of your mat for easy access. Once in tabletop, you're more than welcome to take a few cat-cows here, inviting some movement and fluidity into the spine, some chi into the body. And chi is simply just life force energy. I say simply, but it's not so simple. Taking as much movement or as little movement, as much stillness as you'd like. Return to neutral, flat back if you haven't yet. And come to draw your right knee behind your right wrist. Then angle your shin so that it comes down and away from the top of your mat. And walk your left toes back in space so that your left hip flexor melts towards the mat into pigeon pose. And if this doesn't feel great, hold up, we'll get to you in a moment, don't worry. Gently encourage your right hip back in space and your left hip forward. And if there's any space between the right bum cheek and the mat, use a prop, usually a block or a blanket, underneath to support your joints. From here, you may come up high onto your fingertips. Deep inhale, lengthen the spine. Exhale. Option to stay here if this feels good for you in this moment. You may come forward onto your elbows. You may come to stack your hands and rest your head on the back of your hands. You may use a bolster in front of you and lay forward on it. Whatever you choose one that you find the most comfortable. And if this isn't working for you today, remove the prop from underneath you, sit back onto your right glute, and draw your left heel towards you. You can then use a bolster, any props that you'd like. It can even come up onto your leg and lean forward. Additionally, you can always come down onto your back side, cross your right ankle to the outside of your left thigh, and draw your left leg in towards your body. All variations of pigeon pose, or sleeping swan as it's called in yin, all variations that are still going to get you a nice stretch. So wherever you're at, get cozy and settle in if you haven't yet. Each exhale is an opportunity to release forward, to let your left hip flexor let go, Shoulders melt closer towards the ground, whether on your back or folding forward. Five more deep breaths. Where else can you help yourself let go? Hands come underneath your shoulders to help push you up if you're folded forward. Releasing the leg if you're on your back. Moving any props off to the side. Left foot may walk in slightly as you then step right knee back in space, returning to tabletop or feet to the mat if you're on your back. Take any movement you'd like here, tuning in, feeling into what your body needs. Maybe asking yourself, what do I need right now to feel more peaceful, more calm? Second side, left knee draws to back of left wrist and point your toes down and to the right, finding an angle with your front shin. Walking right toes back in space. Knowing that one side may be a lot tighter than the other, and that's okay. Using any props to support yourself. If you're on your back, left ankle is crossing to outside of right thigh. And you may take the exact same variations you did on the other side using whatever props you may need, or you may need to change things up. Maybe the side you need a block under your head. Take what you need. When you take what you need, when you do what your body is craving, it's easier to find peace. And if your head was to one side, on the other side, be mindful to turn your face in the opposite direction to evenly stretch your neck. Each exhale, you can send your breath to the area where you notice the most tightness or tension. Use your breath as a tool to help you release. Let go of stagnant energy that no longer needs to be settled
in those areas. Five more deep belly breaths. Begin to slowly release from the pose, drawing body back up or legs back to ground, and moving any props to the side, returning to tabletop. Any movement here that may be nice doesn't have to look like a typical yoga pose. Just letting your body move as freely as it likes. And if you don't know what it would like, just move in any way. Child's pose. Big toes may come to touch. Knees spread wide to the edges of the mat, and allow your sit bones to melt towards your heels. Option to place a blanket behind your knees if your hips are tight. You may use your bolster underneath your body if you'd like the support of a cushion, or you can come to lay flat on your belly. Arms reaching out long in front of you, forehead may come to touch the mat. Whichever variation you choose, I encourage you to have your forehead, your third eye, touching some point, whether it's the bolster, a block, the mat. Allow this area to be grounded. And if there's tightness or tension in your shoulders, draw fingertips to touch and bend generously through your elbows. We're often at war with our minds. We're often at war with our minds to find inner peace. But drawing our attention to our third eye by putting a gentle pressure in this area can help to remind ourselves that we can be still. We can find peace and be at peace with our mind. It does not have to be a battle. 5 more deep breaths. Push into your palms and gently push yourself up to a seated position. Knees draw together. One hand comes to your heart, one to your belly. Either close your eyes or have a gentle gaze. Let your hands rise and fall with your breath. How do you feel in this moment? How is your mind? Release your hands, swing your legs out to one side so you come to rest on your sit bones, about midway down your mat. Setting up for Shavasana, you may choose to use a bolster or block underneath your knees. Maybe you come to lie down fully flat on the mat, perhaps a blanket underneath the head. Whatever you need to get as cozy as possible so that you may fully rest here for the last few minutes of this practice. This time of reminding yourself that peace is accessible to you. And you may feel it every single day. Your limbs may be as close or far from your body as you'd like. You are free to take up space, to make space for your body to fully breathe and be at ease. Begin to deepen your breath. Invite sparks of energy back into the body by wiggling your fingers and your toes, rolling out your ankles and your wrists. And take a deep inhale, toes and fingers reach in opposite directions. Exhale, sigh out through the mouth. Draw one knee in at a time, giving yourself a generous hug, a nourishing squeeze, before rolling over towards your right hand side in fetal position.
Rest here and take your time as you push yourself up to a comfortable seat. We'll meet with our hands in prayer at our heart centers. And bow your head so your third eye meets your fingertips. Thank yourself for showing up on the mat today, for doing this act of self-love for your mind, body, and your soul. Lift your head back up. May you feel kind words. May you speak kind words. May you think kind words. Together, we bow forward and say thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure guiding you through today's practice. Don't forget to subscribe, comment, like, all the good things, and I'll see you on the mat again soon.